Wow, people actually popped on here. I didn't really think that was going to happen. Okie dokie. Well, then they went and then they left. What's up? I don't ever go live. I actually don't even be on TikTok like that anymore. But I did want to because I wanted to show you guys something. But we're just going to see how many people. I'm just going to leave this sitting here. Maybe it'll matter. Hold on. And then I'll tell the story after it gets there. Do you see this? You see it? You see it? You see it? All right. So for anyone that's watching, and I'll probably just say this over and over depending on who's on here, but I realized that my grandmother kept a hold of these certificates that I had earned in my active addiction life. Well, so I don't know about you, but I, excuse me, I earned my GED. I didn't get my high school diploma, and I had 2 failed attempts at college in my 20s. So, you know, for me to return in 2024 was like a gift to myself for sticking with recovery as long as I had. But I found 2 of my certificates in my grandma's things of 2 other things I'd earned certificates for, and I wanted to share them with you. So this one, which is from the West Virginia Regional Jail Authority. This is for the completion of life skills in domestic violence. And this was August 14th of 2015. Go me, right? And then this one, also from the West Virginia Regional Jail Authority, granted me the certificate of completion for anger management and parenting on September 8th of 2014. And so other than 8th grade anger management and domestic violence classes, I hadn't ever graduated anything else. So this was a really big deal. This was a big deal. And I know, like, realistically that it was a big deal, but it's been really hard to feel pride for it because I'm like, oh, I waited so long. I was 40 years old by the time that I graduated. And whose timeline am I even on to just decide like, oh, I can't enjoy this the same because I waited so long. And then I started that spiral where, oh my God, I waited so long and now people have passed away that aren't here to see it. And how do I enjoy this without them? And blah, blah, blah. Like the spiral that we take ourselves on when we should be able to plain and simply be proud of an accomplishment. But those of us either in recovery or trying to get to recovery, a feeling that is foreign, that doesn't really come with it very often, is pride. Like, I'm grateful 100% of the time. I'm grateful. But I'm not like prideful about recovery because in my experience, I know that some people are bad and people are awful and whatever, but I'm one of those people that when I analyze my whole history with substances, what I realize is that nearly every bad thing, do not jump up here, okay. Nearly every bad thing that happened, I chose it. I wasn't deluded. Like, I knew that the things I was doing were bad. I knew that they could harm you. I knew that they could cut. I go live in a bug, a gnat, just Florida. What are you gonna do? But anyway, I held the door open to a lot of the bad things that did happen or that eventually I was reduced to, you know. So I got this college degree last month, and I have another ceremony literally next May for my bachelor. And then depending on how much debt I'd like to go into, I'll go for my master's in business. But I'm waiting for that thing. I'm waiting for that feeling that I'm like proud of myself. It sounds so corny, right? And I talked to my psychiatrist about this too, because I'm like, what is it that stands in my way? Those of you that have followed me or that remember me or whatever know that I mean, hot mess, in distress, bro. My footage is so shocking, and it's more shocking to me now than it ever was before. But you would think that I would be able to achieve that feeling of pride, but it's maybe I'm confusing pride and gratitude, and maybe it's all the same thing, and I'm just overanalyzing like a hormonal 40-year-old would. Look at this. Got me one of these. I don't know if anybody ever talks to me on here. I'm not really like a live person. But I have decided as of today that I needed to quit isolating and get myself back online in the recovery community. I am still in school, and even at 40, like, I feel like I appreciate the course load. Oh my fuck. Hold on just a second, because of course. Hold on. I gotta send my kid a code. She's getting in my ancestry. All right. Anyway, so I don't know if any of you guys have like just popped on here, but I will just reiterate really quick. I think that I feel obligated really to showcase my collection of certificates over what feels like several different lifetimes. And these are from the West Virginia Regional Jail Authority. I know. For anger management and parenting and life skills and domestic violence. Okay. I guess I have to make you guys wait because I have to send a code. And then I'll share. Should just turn my phone off. Hello, everybody. I'm really surprised anybody even. My God, I'm so rude. I'm literally. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. My apologies. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay. Anyway, from the West Virginia Regional Jail Authority, my grandma kept these because I mailed them to her when I was incarcerated, when I was in the clink. And she must have been proud of them because I didn't set the bar too high back then, but she kept them, and I'm glad that she did because I am going to get one of those. It's like, it has spaces for 4 different diplomas, and I'm going to put these 2 on the top 2, and then I'm going to put this one. There's a bird in my porch. It's a Carolina wren. Yes, I'm 40. Okay. I got this one. And I get my bachelor next May. I decided 6 years into recovery that I was going to gift myself one more chance, or not one more chance, but one more attempt at righting my educational wrongs, because the 2 times that I had tried to do college when I was younger, I was more concerned with running them streets. You know what I mean? So deciding to go back and write my educational, and not write it, but like rewrite my educational narrative was important to me because I'm somebody with kids with a big age gap. So I've got, my daughter's going to be 20 and my son is going to be 8 this fall for both of them. And they're watching. And I didn't want to only be the mom that's like, oh, you know, my mama got off drugs, which is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. But and then what? It's kind of what was the theme that kept popping into my head. Like, I achieved the month, and then the 6 months, and then the first year, and the second year, and the third year. And I thought I would start to feel better having adjusted to feelings, because adjusting to feelings was the hardest part of recovery for me. It wasn't even devoid of substances. It was quite literally adjusting to feeling, adjusting the way we react, the way we receive information. I'm 8 years in and can still completely discombobulate what somebody's saying to me, you know. Let me see what's going on. What's up, Mitch Smith? I love Mitch. That's so funny. But anyway, so in the way of these degrees, I'm probably getting all over the place, which is why I don't do lives to begin with, is because I curse and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But that's where I realize I'm screwing social media up, right? Like, I used to love social media. I used to have such a good time on here, especially TikTok. And I could laugh and do like recovery humor and try to just find reasons to laugh and smile about it. And then ultimately, somewhere along the line, I realized I had like created a caricature, some other version of myself that was so not authentic, and it was like catered to the community guidelines and, you know, how I wanted to like perceive, like how I wanted to be perceived. And I feel like that's the biggest problem with the internet, is everybody's faking the funk, you know? So it made it harder for me to get on here, and harder to get on here, because what do I look like? You know, I don't want to get on here and just recovery's real, everybody. Eat your Wheaties and whatever. I needed to have more. So when I started school, the whole plan was, okay, I can showcase to people that recovery is possible. But, and then what? And then what? Not everybody has to go to school. I mean, all we're ever looking for is some type of balance, right? Some type of like feel good thing, because it doesn't just feel good to like achieve recovery. It takes a long time. I mean, I think it's like a situational thing. There's times even eight years in where I am just like gutted that I, made my mom worry like that, or that I buried this one, or that I made this choice, or that this person's still struggling, or that person is never getting out of prison. Like the fact that I made it to 40, the fact that I made it out of my 30s was shocking. But now at 40, a lot of us know so many people that are no longer here, that didn't believe in the reality of recovery. They didn't realize or believe that it was possible for them. I have friends that have been convicted and had their life without mercy. They are never getting out. People that were struggling, that people, of course, in some of these situations, maybe some of these people were villains, right? But at the root of it, there's so many of us that we were able to get out. We were able to carve a path out. And I don't think that we're any better than the people that are still struggling. I think that it's such a broken system. And if I just get on here like every other recovery influencer, like recovery is real, and you just got to get out there and grab it. No. It's so much more than that, okay? It's not just somebody saying, oh, hey, how did you do it? There's no answer for that. And let me tell you why. Sorry, Florida allergies. Let me tell you why. When people started asking me over the years, how did you do it? You're so strong. You should be so proud. And it was like, I had to get, I found myself in a very hopeless and gnarly domestic violence situation. I also lost my brother to cancer. And so all these different traumas shook me up in such a way that I finally surrendered to recovery. It wasn't that I woke up on a Tuesday and was like, today's the day. I got it. Today's it. I'm done. I give people credit that is their story. That's not my story. I had to learn just a couple more lessons the hardest way possible for me to finally realize that I wanted to surrender to the process. I wanted to do whatever it took to change the way that my life looked. But not having answers for these people that are like, hey, like, I want to know how you did it, or I want to help my daughter, I want to help my sister, or help my friend, or whatever it is, that pressure started to just get to me. And then people were like, well, you should go work in recovery. You should become a peer recovery specialist. I'm deeply empathetic. I can be an advocate for the comeback on social media, but to be somebody that's dealing with like the clinical ends of it, no. I'll listen to your story. I will talk to you about your trauma, but I in no way wanted to work in recovery. And so then it changed the way that I behaved on the internet. Whereas I quit answering messages, and I'm sorry if you're one of those people that's ever messaged me. I'm really bad about it. It gave me, like, for lack of a better term, stage fright, pretty much, right? Like, I didn't want to say the wrong thing, and then you start feeling like, okay, then other people's recovery is what in my hands, me who's navigating perimenopause, I can't do that. That is such a pressure. Like, I don't want to ever say the wrong thing to somebody that might not be able to receive the right information and create somebody's spiral. Like, I'm big on accountability, because without accountability, we don't change. But I started feeling like responsible for people's understanding of recovery, or they wanted answers out of me that I can't give them. You can't replicate the trauma that helped me get the mindset no more than you can for anybody else. But what I do know, and I think that it is important, and I think it is so I just had a moment. I'm gonna have to get on my phone to read these. I'm no good at doing both, but I forget what I was talking about. Hold on. What does it say? Moment my hubby telling me I can get a few. Good for you. See, okay, that's the thing. Those substances really do, it's not even just the substances. For me, I glorified crime. I was in elementary school doing reports on the Gambino crime family. There were signs that I was going to live on a different, the signs were there. It was the lifestyle. I think the broken in me really felt comfortable around people that were also equally broken or broken in similar ways. And you have to be really careful who you're around, because we confuse it as love, right? Like, I have a buddy, and I'll have to summarize it so I don't say anything telling or whatever about who this person is, but it's one of my really, really good friends. And he had this ex-girlfriend, and she was gonna do some questionable things to get well. And he decided, no, my God, he didn't want her to do something like that with, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so he brought her something to get her well, and it took her life, and he was charged for it. And I think that when you really think about how many lives have been taken and how much accountability has to exist in this, you have to be careful who you're around, because people will think they're doing you a favor, but really they're perpetuating your problem. So the girl that was in the comments, I'm proud of you for deciding not to, because the first couple times you decide not to, they create the next couple times, and then you're like, oh shit, it's been a whole day. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. And then you start the counting, and as the time goes on, you do feel better. Emotions are horrible. I'm not going to lie to you. Emotions are horrible, but getting off of those substances that play with those chemicals in your brain is like where it's at. He said, rather you take meds than drink. Oh, that's not good. Hi, Trisha. Oh. Also, I will say in this little hiatus that I've taken is I was somebody that really spoke out against psych meds, because I had a long, uncomfortable journey with psych meds and didn't believe they were helpful. Like in West Virginia, where I spent the majority of those years, they were like, they would put you on so many things, and almost to be like, look, it's successful. She's not doing anything. Yeah, I'm sliding down the wall on Seroquel and Remeron and Risperidone, whatever, and Tegratols and all these things, right? So I would always try to find relief with psych medication, but it was always so excessive and like changed who I was, and they would just give me the same thing that they'd give the next 40 people that came through. There was no like individualized care plans. So my whole take on psych meds has been pretty negative, like figure it out, take some saffron, go sit in the sunlight and hug a tree or whatever. But a couple months ago, after 10 years without seeking help from a psychiatrist, I finally was like, it's time to just go see a psychiatrist, because these hormones ain't playing fair at all. And I will say, since starting psychiatry and starting some medication, my whole entire life has changed, and I feel almost like terrible saying so, because I really wanted to believe that like all medication was bad, and then come to find out like it's actually not. And there's nothing noble about like suffering. And I feel like for the last 10 years, a part of me knew maybe I'd benefit from a mood stabilizer, but I didn't want to be like a failure. Like it almost feels like a failure or like you accept defeat by going to a psychiatrist, when really it's just another way you get to have your own back. Like if it helps you, cool. We don't have to feel guilty about it, because whenever I first started the medications, I told my psychiatrist, I was like, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to be on this forever. And she's like, well, you don't have to be on this forever. And I'm like, great. A month in, I'm like, I'm never getting off this. Let me just tell you, the noise, I thought everybody heard the noise, the constant inner chatter, it's an awful lot. And after a month on medication, I could like, my follow through with thoughts without ding, 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 ding. I mean, it's absolutely changed my life. And now that it's been a couple months, I do feel that I'm ready to obviously be back on the internet. Hold on, let me see what's going on over here. Oh. It's Mitch Smith. But again, I created a caricature for a while, and it started to like dent my personality. Like I started to care too much, like if I was wearing makeup, like whatever, what I was wearing, like just some things that weren't even characteristically me to begin with. I started to like hyper obsess with, like I wanted my message to come off correctly, and I would refuse to do live so I could like craft every single thing I said. It became so exhausting. And people think this makes money. I mean, let me just no, it's not sustainable income. For some it's sustainable income. But for me, like, I think I've only broke over 1,000 on Facebook twice ever in a month, because they only pay you once a month. So when people are like, she does it for the money, there is no money. I mean, there's really not money. It is not sustainable income. Again, just so people know that when everyone's like, I want to be a creator. And it's like, yeah, it takes a long time to do any type of turnaround. Taking methadone here and there. Sandra, let me just say about methadone. This is such a crazy story, but I'm only going to tell you part of it. But that medication works the best if you have you have the right intention behind it. I've seen that medication save people's lives, change people's lives, and then they gradually get off of it. You know what I mean? But it's there to help you. If you take it the right way and you go into it with a plan to step off of it, I think, and even people that don't, to each their own, whatever. I'm just one of those people that believes there is a step down taper after it's like made its impact a little bit, because I know people that have been on it for 10, 15 years and tell me that they've never had a physician that's involved with the dispensing ever say, oh, well, we should do a step down, instead of like hitting your pockets over and over and over again, So you should definitely do that. I advocate for anything that helps you crawl out of hell, because for me, when I first started the Courtnologist platform, I was I don't know how to say it on here without getting in trouble. So I'm like, I advocate for gardening recovery or whatever, because I think that there can be many different harm reduction methods, and I think that different harm reduction methods coupled with different ones or different places, whatever it is, mine and yours and his and theirs can look so different. It doesn't have to be the same. I find it to be offensive when people are like, oh, well, gardening recovery is still substance, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Yeah, so are those energy drinks and that vape. You know what I mean? Like, but we can call anything harm reduction that reduces harm. Okay? So I think that there isn't enough options, but for some people, like, I would have never thought that I could garden, and I mean garden, abusively garden, my way into my first year of recovery. And some people would say, oh, you're not clean and sober. And I'm like, I don't even use those words, bro. Like, I quit using words like clean and sober when I first started the Courtnologist, because people are very protective of that word. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. I'm saying, I mean, look, it's an accomplishment. If you're a stone cold sober and that's your word and you're clean and you're sober, I think that's amazing to be prideful about. And I just don't use those words, because I like to use the word freedom, because freedom is what I achieved when I stopped making those decisions. And, I still garden, I still gummy or whatever, whatever. And I'm very open to other forms of healing or whatever, because again, I advocate for the comeback, not how the comeback happens, just the comeback, right? Because there's not enough of that online. Everybody's just like, not everybody, I hate to say that, but when I get online, I try to not be judgmental, but it's the human condition. And I'm mostly judgmental over myself, because I don't want to put out like cookie cutter stuff all the time. Like, we get it, like before and after, you never know who's going to see it. But it still doesn't seem like there's enough depth or connection for me to have continued with it, which is why I took such a break, We should talk, my friend. We should. Thank you so much, Chandra. But I will be doing this a little bit more often. Mainly to get myself out of my shell, because even at 40, like, the stuff's a little cringy for me. But all right, well, I just wanted to hop on here and do a little bit of catching up. I'm gonna be trying to do this for a while, but all right. Thank you. Bye. Love you. Bye.